5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my crafting stream. Well, it's this Fizzy brain. And you get a little preview of what we're going to work on in a second up here, which is quite nice. So, yeah. Welcome to episode 22 of Fizzy Brain. Which is Pride comes before a faulty train. More about faulty trains later. It's like faulty towers, but moving and more swearing. So, I'm Aubrey Blakeledge, and welcome to Fizzy Brain. This is a stream, podcast, vlog, vanity project going on and 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 on, talking about creativity from the point of view of a weird fizzy brain bard wizard creature thing. Telling you, lovely lot, the beautiful people who keep me on the road, what I do when I'm on the road, and also sharing the lengths I go to keep my brain being occupied. So, in layman's terms, I fiddle with things, I craft using my materials of stuff that's on the table, and then talk rubbish while doing it. Yes, well, I was also dealing with many, many technical faults. Before we crack on, upcoming gigs, nice and short this week. As always, you can get all details of my shows and such at aubreyblakeledge.com. All the usual social media, just search for Aubrey Blakeledge. You'll find me, because there's no one else with my name, because it's really weird. Although I discovered I've now encountered 3 children called Aubrey. So apparently, it's in the zeitgeist now. So kids are going for Aubrey. Well, parents are going for Aubrey. The kids aren't choosing their name. I'm the only kid that chose this one. Anyway, so gigs and such. Like I said, ticketsource.co.uk/awkward strawberry, and you'll find tickets to any ticket events and such like that. Of course, for festivals, I should say this, and I should have been saying this from the start. Anyone wanting to attend festivals, you should get the tickets through their site, because it's their job to sell the tickets, not mine. So, coming up on the 29th of June, Sweetchunks is playing the Grassroots Grazing Festival near Salisbury, one of the last few shows that we're doing this year. And then after that, it's the 3rd of July at the Hobbit, featuring B-Sydes, Warren Island, and Thomas Benjamin Wilde Esquire, which I'm really looking forward to. And of course, every Tuesday at 9 p.m. is the Fizzy Brain stream. So that's basically what's coming up. And I'll tell you what's going to be occupying my time between then and now. It's a problem when I start gluing the tea. That is always an issue. Right. So, what's been going on? Well, first of all, look at, if you see in the top left-hand side of your screen, possibly with a bit of a delay, I can't be bothered to sort that right now, is my things that I'm going to be working on. I've got my sewing kit, I've got my emergency emotional support dumpster fire. Dexter is here to oversee operations. And tonight, I'm going to be working on my... I need to come up with a rip-off name for a regular choice, because some might recognise these. I took these to Pride, and the bows that were on them came off one of them, and I took it off, and I realised I actually prefer them without the bows. So I quite like this mad sort of private eye Sonic the Hedgehog thing. So what I need to do is, because you're not really meant to papier-mâché newspaper onto shoes and wear them about, my glue gun is going to help me fix some of the bits and pieces, and then that shouldn't take too long. The other thing I'll be working on is a few more patches on my battle jacket. Well, some of the festival lanyards, which I'm now lining the inside of the battle jacket with. I'm also working out what kind of another... Oh, I like that. Oddly picked. Straight in. There, okay, these are my oddly picked shoes. It's not a brand that I'm going to be taking for myself. I think if any of us make our own shoes, trying to rip off Irregular Choice, they are all oddly picked shoes. Let's turn it into a lovely sort of community of mere oh, here we go. Asymmetrical decision. That's pretty good. That is good. If oddly picked hadn't come first. Let's see if we can, throughout the show tonight, come up with a better replacement name. They're both very, very good. Asymmetrical Decision also sounds like a Genesis album as well. Yes, so oddly picked. I think I'd like oddly picked. It's going to take a lot to knock that off the top spot. Anyway, so I'm going to be working on those. I've got some of my patches to go for. So, yeah. If you have a drink in your hand, raise it up and put it in your face. Tonight, I'm on Earl Grey with a little bit of dandelion honey, which is vegan honey that is actually rather nice. Made by some lovely chums over in the... over in Bideford. Al and Dave make these things and they're smashing. So, the original brand is Irregular Choice. For you guys in chat, if you don't know, come up with an alternate name for a regular choice. That's my thing for you guys. And of course, if you are crafting along with me, I would love to have updates of what you're working on whilst we go. Peter Gabriel or Phil Collins version? I would say the Peter Gabriel version. No, actually, that's a good point. Sorry, for those listening, Asymmetrical Decision being a Genesis album, is it a Peter Gabriel Genesis or Phil Collins Genesis? That is a very good question, and a deeper one maybe for another time. We shall see. I've just been asked a very interesting question, and I'll put it to you guys in the chat as well. Someone's texted me and said, I got a friend of mine who we share memes and random facts. And this one is, fun fact today, pointless fun fact, who do I think is the highest paid actor in the world in 2025? Now, I'm going for Tom Cruise. I'll get the answer very shortly. Have a think. Let me know who you think. Right, so let's put my tea out of the way. And we're going to discuss Unnatural Selection. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that one. Right, so one of the first panels I need to stick on is this little fellow, which luckily... Okay, so what we need is a much clearer... Get rid of the terrible picture of my face, because I need a better camera. Right, so let's just do it simply. Right, so last week I wasn't able to do a show because I'd had so much fun at Here for the Music that I was exhausted. Now, I'm going to put out a warning in future, I think, that if I'm doing a festival weekend, that there is a chance that I might cancel the show. Now, the thing is, cancelling is a pain in the arse. Dwayne Johnson as choices of highest. Oh, hang on. There we go. Actually, you were but say The Rock. You guys are all right. It is Dwayne Johnson. Good guess. I mean, isn't it funny that the highest paid actor isn't actually what you consider a very good actor? But, you know, he's having fun. I mean, who wouldn't want to be paid vast sums of money to have a laugh and pretend to be someone else? And I mean that without sarcasm. So, yeah, so I have been debating just making it a regular thing that if I am doing a festival, that I will take the Tuesday off to sort of recover. Because it's sort of like a lot of the time when it's... Because normally I always have Monday as my down day. So I do catch up on projects. I deliberately don't do any work. I occasionally, if I'm in writing mode, I might write some songs. Because that's sort of like... That just happens when it happens. If I've got, like I'm doing with the demos at the moment, I need to get in the studio and play some stuff. That's sort of thing that's easier to switch on and switch off. So I won't do that because as much as it's fun, it's still work, it's still my job. And I love that, by the way. I'm not complaining. but I need to make sure that I'm disciplining myself to actually spanking myself to make sure that I do things right. And also, this is mainly not my idea. This is actually off of, I can't take credit for it. This is Lily's idea, and I heartily agree. I've been getting better at it, but I used to suck at taking time off. And the thing is, like, normally I take Mondays off, like I was saying. And so if I do gigs at the weekend, I travel home on the Sunday. And then Monday is a day of glorious nothing. But if I'm at a festival, I'll be travelling back on the Monday. And even if I travel back and get home at, say, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then have a lovely, relaxing evening, then it's sort of still the... it still eats into the recovery time. And I need to sort of make sure that I have my recovery time, because I don't want to get completely knackered and shattered, especially when I've had some of the weeks that I've had recently where... at my part-time job, because there is the thing is I do work with pensioners. It's a part-time role, but it still doesn't stop the buggers from dying constantly. And so when you've not recovered very much, and I don't mean I'm hungover, I mean actually just tiredness. But when you're sort of feeling that, oh, I just need a bit more time to just sort of recuperate, and then you come back to work and, oh, there's 4 more deaths. Oh, dear. Or whatever. Or just actually, you know, not being a fucking zombie when you're not working. So, yeah, and because this is fun, don't get me wrong, but one of those things of, like, creative stuff we should do regularly, it is a job, and I treat it as that. It's a job that I'm very privileged to do, but I want to make sure that I don't ruin it for myself by ruining myself, if you know what I mean. Come on, you gluey bastard, get in there. There we go. I think this is one of those things with the fixing of these shoes. It's like the painting of the Forth Bridge. It will never end. Chosen chaos. I like that unscrupulous solution. Alternatives for irregular choice. I quite like that. So I just talked to my friend about the highest paid person. I thought Tom Cruise. Obviously wrong. It was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And then my friends also mentioned the fact that his insurance must be ridiculous. He must own his own insurer. But there we go. Aubrey Blakeledge. Problem is, I would put that, the amount of people that over the years, mainly teachers more than anything else, call me Blakeridge or Breakridge, that just makes me want to beat people to death with their own shoes, ironically. But I'm liking this. More, keep them coming. Just spitball the ideas. And if anyone comes in who has no idea what this chat is about, and then just comes in and starts reading these really weird, looks like we're in some kind of cult, talking really weird spells and such. There we go. I need to get some more glue sticks. I need to get some more glue sticks, 'cause my shoes are falling apart. That reminds me, I got a lovely pair of black shoes lined up on Vinted, so I need to buy them before some other shit does. Into my cupboard of dreams. I just got to remember where the fuck I put the glue sticks. They're in here somewhere. In there, that's paint. There they are. There they are. Sorry, this is great streaming, as you know, just seeing one of my nipples out. There we go. Right. Looks okay, actually. What's going to be great is by the time this is all sort of got all these layers of glue on and everything, it'll be able to repel light arms fire. So if someone shoots at my feet, I'll be all right. Fabulous decision. I like that. I think we're just sort of saying strange things that I say to people. Fabulous decision. Do it again. Right. So, here for the music. Like I said, I gave myself a little break. And they came on quite nicely. I let them dry for a bit before I add any more. So, here for the music. Absolutely marvellous little festival. Met up with some old chums. Idiosyncratic alternative, like that. And I got... It was nice because I think some of the people online were actually there as well, which is cool. And got to do a couple of shows that went really, really well. And it feels very much like I'm stepping out of... I don't think there's like a shadow of Sweetchunks, but I'm sort of like stepping out on my own and doing my own stuff, and people are starting to sort of enjoy that as it's on itself, but on its own, which has been absolutely smashing. Managed to spend a bit of time with what I'm now referring to as the Here for the Music trans contingent or transtingent, because we had about 7 of us all on various parts of the trans spectrum, just catching up at the festival. It started off with all catching up and sharing stories. By the end of the festival, we were just giving each other the slightest of nods, which was pretty cool. And chatting with Evie from Common Culture, an old lovely chum of mine, who before I set off for Here for the Music, sent me this. I'll just show it up to you guys so you can see the thing. There we go. Wait for it to focus. Come on. This is where I try and navigate in reverse. There we go. So it's a sliding scale of my pronouns. And it arrived in the post just before the weekend has gone, because we were chatting about badges and such. Being a gender fluid person is a bit of a pain in the arse, because when people say, because everyone's being so lovely about, and I think I've said this countless times, people are being so lovely and supportive, and people asking, what pronouns do you use? And I'm like, well, technically all of them, but at different times. And for me to keep updating people feels like a bit much, and sort of, I don't, and lots of people, because of how weaponized culture is at the moment, it won't last forever. We'll get it all sorted and people will chill out and people will get used to it and people will become better at it. But at the moment, a lot of good people are worried about fucking it up, so they're sort of like, but I don't want to say the wrong thing, and you're sort of like, don't worry, you're fine, because it's too complicated. And then so Evie and I were chatting about the idea of having a moving pronoun badge. And so when the thing arrived, and the fact that I can change it around the different versions of they, was like, this is fabulous. And also, I mean, literally like fabulous, but also really fabulous. And I got a lovely little handwritten message from Walter, whose company like sells these. I'm not sure if they make them, because it might be one of those things that they buy them in from China and they shift around, which was, I think, Queer Army HQ, I think it was. And yeah, they sent a lovely little message, and they hoped I enjoyed it and used it at Pride, because they're very proud of this badge themselves. And I did. I took it to Pride at the weekend just gone. Chippenham Pride. Lovely, lovely weekend there. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But yeah, so the weekend's festivaling was absolutely lovely. A couple of lovely little gigs. Chatted with a load of people. Had a really, really good time. And I caught up with a lot of old friends and a lot of people I wasn't able to catch up with during A Up the Duck, because they weren't there or whatever. And it was really nice. It was a load of people that I hadn't seen, who I wanted to, caught up with, and then had another really relaxed festival. I think I've been very blessed with the first 3 festivals of the year being this good, because I suppose I'm just waiting for the next load to be a pile of shit or something to balance it all out, but that's not actually how the world works, because that's mental. Okay, they seem to have dried quite nicely, so I'm going to move on to the other crafting thing while I chat to you about other things. So talking about festivals and stuff, one of the things that leads me on to nicely on this segue of what I'm working on next. So I have been working on this battle jacket of mine with all my bits and pieces. I have managed to lose one of the patches. I did get a patch from Jess Silk that I've been trying to get for a while. She very kindly gave me one, and I can't for the love of me find out where the fuck I put it. So yeah, I'll be looking for that for a while. But I have, because I've been trying to find something to do with all of these bands from festivals, all the cloth ones. So I've basically turned it into the lining for this jacket, which I'm rather proud of. I think I've done an all right job putting them in there. All the different ones, in no particular order, because I thought if I start trying to do that, it's just going to become a fucking nightmare. So we've got everything from Ragged Bear here, there for the music from this year for 2025, Brasenose Fringe for 2023. This one was from WOMAD, where I became Funky and the Two-Tone Babies roadie for a day, because I was bored. My friends had all gone on holiday to Portugal, and so he said, do you want to come along with me? And I said yes. So I was a roadie for a little bit and got to see WOMAD, which was nice. Hef Festival, which is a home educated families festival. Weird, but in a really good way. Mudfest, a very weird festival that paid us nearly double our fee at the time to pay for 25 minutes because they cocked up the sound so many times that they wanted us to finish early so no one would miss the headliners, who were then 40 minutes late. So it was absolutely hilarious. So we basically got paid for 25 minutes. And it was a festival that was at the same time as like some kind of like Tough Mudder style thing, which was weird. So Alchemy Festival, this is an under 16s band, because the absolute shambles that was the Alchemy Festival that year, they ran out of wristbands, and the security, because all the guys in the actual accreditation were all drunk and high and had literally no idea what was going on. The security guys, bless them, were all stone cold sober, so we actually had to ask the security guys, who were obviously from a separate company, and they were not impressed, but they were just basically laughing their arse off because it was a piece of piss work for them, so they didn't mind at all. But absolute fucking scenes at that one. A at Maduck 2025, A at Maduck 2024. That's when I turned up for half the day, and everyone thought I was a secret act, even though I kept on saying I'm not the secret act. And then when the secret act came on and I was still in the audience, people were really surprised, and the poor fucker didn't do too well because it wasn't me, and people were quite pissed off. I think this one, 2015, is one of the last Watch It's 2025 Bearded Theory. So some of these are punters, some of them are artist ones. They're just nice little memory things for things are going on. Deerstock, long may it. Sadly, that it's no more. So Download 2010, Download 2012, many beautiful days, and a Boomtown artist one that I rather liked. More Download from 2012. That was my wedding honeymoon one, and more Boomtown. There we got Bearded Theory, Boston Days. That is, if you know about Boston Days, you sort of something good. Rockstock, a festival that is no longer around, which I had to sort of cut in between so I could put the buttons through. Isle of Wight Festival 2017 over here. Sorry, I put it over there. So yeah, that's where I had to cut it to put the buttonhole in. Yeah, Boston Days is absolutely smashing. Here for the Music 2024. It's a wedding one. I forgot about this. And Kerry and Louise. And their marvellous little thing there. Isle of Wight 2016. Isle of Wight 2016 again. Different one. Greenbelt, that was the weird Christian festival that was actually really weird in a nice way. And another one from Deerstock. So yeah, I've been collecting those. And I've got one from Watch It that I discovered, which is 2016, which I think is that's the Watch It we did when we were banned. But they never told us we were banned, and we found out from the long way round, as it were. And I then, having several conversations with the guys that ran it, they then realised they'd actually accused us of something we hadn't done. So they sort of, is the phrase shadow banned when you ban someone without telling them? That's basically what they did. And then when we had a conversation, I was like, "Oh yeah, why aren't you booking us?" I thought, and they were like, "Oh, but you're then, yeah." Although someone else told us we were banned, I sent them an email talking about being banned and why. And they actually sent me an email back saying, "Oh, we have no idea why you're banned. You're not as banned as far as we're aware." And it's like, well, okay, then why are you ignoring all my emails and not responding? But, all's well and ends well. And sadly, we weren't invited to the last one, but they'd already booked the lineup, which is a shame. So we missed the last ever Watch It festival. But it's a sad festival that it's gone. It was a very big Watch It shaped hole, because it was one of those ones that mastered having a very underground festival, but occasionally having some big acts for shits and giggles. Like you'd see loads of sort of like Tankers the Henge when they were upcoming. At the same time, you have things like what's it called, Top Loader, who were really pissed off because people wanted to hear Dancing in the Moonlight and didn't give a flying fuck about their other music. But then again, I'm sure they're used to that now because that's basically their entire career. But yeah, it was. It's an interesting thing seeing all these little bands again, because I had them in a box out the way, and now I finally got them all sewn on. There'd obviously be more if you could sew plastic, but lots of places, thankfully, not so much anymore. But you still get them, the old plastic festival bands. So. So Here for the Music, absolutely lovely. So last week, between Here for the Music and Pride, was the beginning of album organising. So I was off, now that the Kickstarter's fully funded, again, for the umpteenth time, thank you all so very much for that. I've been speaking to the guys that we're going to work with, and I've had quite a few people drop out because of various things that are unavoidable, decent reasons, so they weren't messing me about. It's like things went horribly wrong. Anyway, it's just one of those things when you're preparing producers and bands and artists and musicians. But Lou Sawdry, who is the producer on Glutundabus, the Sweetchunks album, was my first choice to produce this record, and she's not able to do engineering, as in I'm not going to be recording with her, but she is going to mix, produce and master the album when it's done, which is great because it means it's someone I know can do the job, because, well, you've heard Glutundabus, it sounds great and is exactly the sort of sound that what I'm going for. I was originally going to be recording and writing with Mike, but Mike can't do it because basically he's a dad with a job that's a pain in the arse now. So it's unfortunately mean he can't spare the time required to do the album, which is a shame. But we're definitely going to work together in the future. It's just this one. Well, it's quite nice in a way because it means this one is going to be my album. I'm not going to be writing with anyone else. I'm not going to be. It's going to be my mad stuff. So you're going to find out what it's like to listen to my brain without anyone editing it. It could go well. It could be an indulgent pile of crap. We shall see. So what's with recording times, recording equipment, people like that, it's all gone a bit sideways, but sideways is still facing the right direction if you change where you're aiming at. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to record, for those of you who've listened to the demos, I'm going to record the guitar, the bass, the drums, and such at mine using my equipment. And then, which is also why I've got, where have I put it? It's gone now. Well, I guess I don't have. I was about that we used for the Sweetchunks sessions. So I've managed. The internet, the audio's paying about. I'm going to be using a better quality microphone and such like that. So this one's specially designed for sort of vocals and very good for podcasting and doing what I'm doing here. But the microphone that we've got is really good for instrument recording. So I'm going to be recording all my instrumentation. I have booked a couple of studio sessions with Dan Parkinson, who is the engineer and producer for Grant Sharkey, and he is going to be my engineer for my vocal takes. So basically, this was Mike's idea, and I really like it, is that so I can get the best vocal performance, I'm going to have someone else engineer for me. So all I think about is recording the vocals, not worrying about the levels or anything like that. I'll have someone else that knows what they're doing. By that point, I'm aiming to have the rest of the tracks roughly together. So what I can do is sing the final vocals with the backing track being the rest of the album. Not quite mixed by Lou yet. If there's time for her to do some pre-mixing, brilliant. If not, not the end of the world. And then put the vocals down, send it across to Lou, and get it out to you guys. Now, as is with all kinds of recording stuff, I've already hit some delays, because of course I fucking have. So my current aim is to get the album out in October. That is my plan. At the moment, it's looking like CD and Spotify versions will be ready to go long before that. Although the vinyl part is the issue, because the companies that I've getting quotes for the vinyl have been dragging their heels on timings, and it's looking like it's about 12 weeks on average. So that means if I get everything recorded and such by August, it might be ready for Christmas. Now that could be quite cool, so people can buy the album for Christmas presents, and I of course will give out spare ones to my friends and family as Christmas presents, because I'm, it'll save a bit of money. So yeah, there is that. I'm not going to bother announcing it, because until I get the album to Lou, I won't have a definite sort of timeline. I have spoken with Sammy Grogan, who does my illustrations, does all my artwork. I think I mentioned a little bit of this before. She's on board, but she's really busy. She is working on a very exciting project at the moment that she hasn't announced, but I think I know what it is from some guesswork. But we shall see. And when she announces that, I will be sharing that with everyone, because I'm insanely proud of my friend. So we're going to be spending some time together with her, one of her other halves, one of her other thirds, I think. That's how it works. And Lily and myself, and we're going to go watch Death Clock play in London, because I've been watching loads and loads of Metalocalypse. More about that later. So yes, so Sammy is currently working on a mega project, which is really exciting, and you'll see that because I'll start sharing it so you get to see what's going on. And then once that's sorted, the two of us, I've submitted some designs. She's already like, yeah, because of course she has got it in her head what she's going to do. So once that project is announced and underway, then she can devote some time to doing some other bits, including my stuff. So that'll be the t-shirt sorted out, and that will be a nice simple turnaround. That'll be like 2 weeks, pretty much 2-3 weeks after I get the design from Sammy. So what I'm going to do, as I've said before, is that when the t-shirts are out, those of you who book t-shirts, those of you on the Patreon who've, I think pretty much most of the people on the Patreon have got a decent amount of money saved up on there. So your t-shirts will be sending to you. Now, of course, if you have a subscription on the Sweetchunks page, if you want to, I'm quite happy to send my solo merch across to make it worthwhile for you guys who've been supporting me through the band there as well. So if you are a paid subscriber on either of the Patreons, you will be getting some of those bits and pieces, as well as the demos, because as a little special guest for the Patrons, I've been putting those on my personal page, and once those are all up on my personal one, I'm going to put up the demos onto the Sweetchunks page as a lovely little thank you. So yes, so that leads nicely on to what's been going on at the weekend. So as I said earlier, I went to Chippenham Pride. I was a guest of some of the organisers, played a wonderful little set in a little bar, and I've already been asked to come back and do some shows there, so that's good. So I've now got places in Chippenham to play, which I'm really excited about. I've got to spend some time with the Marvellous Dave and the Marvellous Liz, two very dear friends of mine. And I said earlier on that Lizzie of Common Culture got me the Marvellous pronouns badge for me to use, well, not just at Pride, but just in general. I have been using it wherever possible because it gives me little bumps of euphoria and such, because obviously wearing the right clothing feels fantastic, but having this little thing going, by the way, you're feeling like this, and I'm like, yes I do, yay, and it's a nice little hit of euphoria, which is lovely. So it's been, yeah, Evie, not Lizzie. I know too many Lizzies, and I know too many Dans. I know 2 Dan and Lizzies. I know 3 Evies. I know a Dave and Lizzie. Well, that's Dave and Liz. I also know a Dan and an Evie, a Dave and an Ali, an Ali and a Gareth. It's just too many combinations of the same sort of things. Anyway, so Evie gave me that lovely little present, and the Pride they invited me to be a flag bearer as part of this little ceremony. Well, they actually explained to everyone what the bloody flags meant, which as a a chat that is definitely Vexiology friendly, it was actually quite a nice thing to go, oh, that's when it was made. And a lot of them actually invented in the bisexual flag is from 2012. Not as old as I thought it was. Non-binary and gender fluid is I think 2010, 2014, so it's still quite young, but told us what all the different colours meant as well, which is like smashing. So I had this wonderful moment of sort of weird kind of overthinking something, because as much as, you know, my medication has helped me deal with a lot of overthinking and lots of negative points, there are points where my natural overthinking does come through anyway. And so I was carrying the intersex flag, which is yellow with a purple ring on it, and that represents people who have who used to be called hermaphrodites, but now it's someone that has multiple parts from different genders. And so I was carrying that. I was very jealous of, not that I have any issue with the intersex flag at all. It's actually my issue about myself. But I was very jealous of Alice, who was carrying the gender fluid flag, because that's the fucking one I wanted, god damn it. But they had too many gender fluid people, and not enough intersex people. So I was offered up as the representative for the intersex community, waving the flag. And of course, my overthinking was sort of like, because there's a amount of times I've had lovely people, some people on this chat, some people in the gigs, some people come up to me and ask me questions about my experiences and talk about their own and such. And I've had, when I've been saying, talk about being gender fluid, I've had young gender fluid and non-binary people come up to me and talk about it, and sort of as an approachable thing to start their own discovery, or trying to sort of get some reassurance about their own journeys. And I was really worried that an intersex person would come over and say, oh, it's really nice that we're being represented. And I have to say, oh, I'm not an intersex person. I'm actually gender fluid. I'm just a flag waver. And I was expecting some kind of like, boo, you're not even a real one of us. You're an imposter. Oh. And then an army of intersex people would come and beat me to death with my own shoes. And genuinely, that's what I was worried about. Of course, it didn't happen at all. So it was absolutely fine. It was actually wonderful to be part of it and everything, as well as playing the shows. Got some tickets to some comedy, to some music as well, and saw Andrew O'Neill finally. I've been trying to see Andrew O'Neill for years, and something conspires every bloody time to make it not possible, including me playing gigs for him, because whenever I've played gigs for their shows, for their nights or anything, they're always sort of either away or they're ill or something happens that means they're just, for a perfectly legitimate reason, not there. And I just feel like they're trying to avoid me. But I managed to get to see them. It was awesome, and it was great to finally see them. And but one of my favourite things that happened is another little crafting thing. Now, I don't know if you guys remembered a while back. I think it wasn't on the stream, but I might have mentioned the process on the stream, but I don't think you guys saw the original ring. So I have this little ring that I've covered up bits of it. So my friend Dave made some adjustments to this. This is a poison pill ring that I keep an emergency antihistamine in, because whenever I go around my friend's house when they have cats or dogs, or they're just filthy and they don't look after their fucking houses, I start getting an allergic reaction. I keep forgetting to bring them along with me, so if I put it in my travelling poison ring, I don't forget. So it had a little place in the top there where you can put a little tiny ruby in it, and it's meant to be all nice and lovely. And so my friend Dave, who was paying host to me the other weekend, is a master craftsman, makes wonderful cosplay stuff. Doesn't put it on YouTube or anything like that. He just loves doing it and then going out and being part of Boomtown particularly, and he likes making and such. He doesn't want to be a YouTuber or a Instagrammer or anything. He just makes them. Just enjoys his box of props is amazing. And so I asked him if he could use his 3D printer to put like a little jewel in it and then maybe put like an A on it so I could use it to sort of stamp things. And he did. And he created this. You hopefully can see this a little bit, but I'll show you it on the screen. So if it comes up there. So he created what looks like a cross between the Green Lantern's ring and one of those ring sweets that you can suck on. I don't know if you can see through the camera, but there is a tiny A on it. Have I turned it the right way? I have turned it the right way. Aha! So I can use it to put my initial in wax. And what I'm going to be doing is I have a map of the UK and all its venues on it there on the wall, because of course I have, and I'm going to at some point drip bits of wax on it and then put that on it, and so I can make a record of where I've been because I'm sad. So I absolutely adore this. I'll put it on my finger. It is ridiculously over the top. It doesn't quite work at all in some weird kind of ways. It's huge. It's quite silly. I'll just put it in there. Hang on, let's pop. There we go. So it is a silly thing. It is a wonderfully silly thing that opens up, and then I've got my antihistamine. I did think about putting a paracetamol in there or an ibuprofen, but I thought people have them a lot of the time, so best to have my own emergency stuff there. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad Dave made it. It was just because he is a wonderful friend and also completely mental in a good way. Just gonna put this over here. Right. So, just gonna do a quick run through. So we did there for the music, which is a lot of good fun. Played a couple of really good shows there. Played in what can only be described as a shit-smelling amphitheatre, where they show off very un-PC named sheep. So I had a lovely auditorium with some spotlights and such, and a lovely stage, but it all just smelled of sheep shit, which was interesting. But you know, you play to your strengths, and my strengths is apparently urine. And that went down really, really well. Had a really good time. And then also played on their open mic stage as well, which is lovely. Big shout out to Lady of the Sea, old Sir Sama, Manth, as she's often known, from All for Jolly. And that reminds me, actually, crafting wise. So I did originally. This was originally a. This originally was a Jolly Roger hat, and then they gave me a patch, and then whilst watching Henshaw, I just decided to sew this hat together. So I now have a small collection of trucker hats. But yeah, now that I'm making them myself. There's also a fun little story you might have heard about. Just remind me before I leave the subject of what's been going on. So here for the music, the marvellous Pet Needs were playing. And so Pet Needs were playing, and they had a bit of a catastrophe because they played a festival in Illinois, and then travelled back from via Chicago back to England, like overnight, to play there for the music. So they've just finished a massive American tour, biggest one they've ever done, and then flown back to England just in time to play a little festival in Devon. So they arrive in England at 8 o'clock to travel across to Devon to play at, I think it was 6. And they realised when they started travelling to the site that their guitars and all their equipment was still in Chicago. So with the help of Nick Parker, because of course it was Nick Parker, they found a complete rig for them: guitars, drums, everything, and my cable as well, I might add, so they could play. So there was this wonderful image of them playing, and it was an amazing set, but they were clearly exhausted and running on fumes with someone else's equipment, knowing that their equipment was slowly making its way across the Atlantic with British Airways, who had lost it before, so it could be worse and they could end up losing all their equipment. But, you know, adventures and all that sort of thing. So chat just asked, did Dave make the gun that the album's named after? Yes, that is the same Dave who made... We've got a Thunderbus that I'm not sure if you can see behind me. Hang on, let's move that around. So we're going... Let me get the screen up. If I lower it, can you see it? Aha, right, give me a sec. Bonk! There we go. So up here, that is the Thunderbus that Dave made. He's also made, it's not in here, but it's in my room, he made a tiny little Space Marine version of me playing a guitar, which I'm very happy with. So I did enjoy that. So he is a dear friend and a master. It is the most speech-to-text incompatible album. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in there. And yeah, so it's been a lovely week, production wise, and so moving on to so part 1 was what I'm meant to be working on. That's all my album stuff. Part 2, what I've actually been working on as well, is on Monday. I went to, literally, I got home from, I keep yawning, I do apologise everyone, need more powerful tea. So I got home from Chippenham Pride. Lily was staying with her dad's, having a lovely little catch up and such during the weekend. I came home from Chippenham Pride, spent the night here, cleared all my stuff. Next morning, went off on the train. I apparently made such a low impact on the flat. Lily was checking with me that I had actually slept in the bed, because she thought I'd done something stupid like slept on the sofa again by passing out, because I just jumped in the bed even though there was stuff on the bed. I cleared some parcels because I didn't move them, because I just went to bed and fell asleep immediately. She just thought that I'd been lying about it for some reason. But yeah, so I then went straight out to Brighton to meet up with Professor Elemental, because the two of us are working on a concept record for next year, which we've been playing around with. We were writing together. And yeah, so it's completely insane. I've realised that I haven't even finished this album, and I'm already working on my next album, which is a good sign, I think. But yeah, so we're basically writing, I think I've talked about it before, and it's gone from being a Professor Elemental album with me guesting on it to the two of us are making a sort of combination album together with Tom Caruana doing some of the beats, me using the banjo and such. And also going completely batshit with the story and all these songs. And in return, I think I might have convinced the professor to be on this album. So there may be some rapping, but we shall see. Once I get that demoed, I'll add it to the list of things for the Patreons to check out, by the way. So I've got to redesign one of the tracks, put it together, send it across, let him throw down some bars or what the rappers say, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. Yeah, so I was meant to be doing sensible things, but that's what I ended up doing instead. So the British Royal Book Club is back with a vengeance. Many trains I got to travel on, including ones that got delayed for no particular reason. I finally finished the Odd Thomas book, and I'm back on board Gay Werewolf, which I've gotten into now and started to read. It was one of those ones like, you know, when you sometimes get a book, even though you know you're enjoying it, and you try to sort of, it's like getting the first bit of the loo roll off when you're really needing to wipe your bum and he starts tearing off little bits and it doesn't quite work. It was kind of like that, but in book form. But now I've gotten into it and rather enjoying where it's going. It's sort of like a charming little book that's not too hefty in any way, shape or form, despite the fact it actually regularly mentions people being dismembered. But it's good and I'm enjoying it. So I'm looking out for, well, I've got a pile of books I need to work through next. And I should before I start asking people for more recommendations. And yeah, so oh yes, and the other thing, so I've been listening and watching a lot of Metalocalypse, Death Clock, and all that sort of bits and pieces and stuff, which has been great. Loving that because Sammy and I, and like I said earlier on, are going to go watch Death Clock in London on Saturday. Managed to blag some tickets, so we're going to go to that. It's going to be mental. And I will be having a smashing old time. And Lily and I will be getting train drunk because that's the fun way to do things. Yeah, so this week has been a lot of fun. Tomorrow, I've got a dentist appointment. So, but my bosses have basically, because I've been doing loads of extra work in the office, have basically said, oh, just take the day off. I'm like, you know what? I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying down the bits and pieces for the new album. So the final sessions will begin tomorrow. So it does mean that the Fizzy Brain shows will have more up-to-date bits and pieces, specifically on what album. On what album? You know what album? It's going to be Woodland Gothic. But of how the album's coming along. So I'm going to be recording it in bits over the next month. And to say I'm excited is a fucking understatement. I nearly worked on it immediately when I got home yesterday, but I'm like, nope, I need to have more energy. I need to do things properly. But there's enough excitement and waiting to get on with it that, oh, sorry everyone, I just keep yawning. I do apologise. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in. I'm going to set up the template for everything, bounce the tracks, put them together, get my shopping list ready, add it all together, and start the process of creating the fucking batshitness that is going to be the Woodland Gothic album. I'm really excited. Yeah, so that's pretty much what's been going on. So I think we'll draw it to a close from there, I think. So, as always, thank you very much for listening and watching, however you enjoy me on this stream. If you're not watching this on Twitch, consider joining us on Twitch, because we'll do it live, and then we have conversations after the show, which may be me yawning a lot, and I do apologise for that. Oh, by the way, before we go, I need to make a decision on the alternate version for Irregular Choice. Now, I'm scrolling through the chat. If anyone's got any last minute answers. You've got about 30 seconds before I make a decision. So Unscrupulous Solution was pretty good. Fabulous Decision. Outlandish Outwear. Flamboyant Footwear. This really, really good, but I think an Asymmetrical Decision. But I think Oddly Picked was just straight there in the beginning. So if anyone's got, right, I've stopped scrolling, so I can now read what you guys put in the chat. But if any of you have got anything you think will beat Oddly Picked to be the name for my rip-off cottage shoe industry, now is the time. If not, these will be referred to as Oddly Picked shoes, and I'm very proud of them. It was very quick, but it, as said in the chat, but it's just sometimes it's the gut answers that give you the right ones, aren't they? And as much as this started out as a joke, I am actually rather proud of this stupid pair of shoes. I'm just that good, says Mossy Frog. I spent too long trying to spell asymmetrical. Fair enough. Okay, so Oddly Picked it is. These are the first pair of Oddly Picked shoes. Expect there to be more, because I actually had a lot of fun making these things. I'm going to have to think about some other ways of doing this. Possibly with some fabric as well as the papier-mâché. Maybe sew some stuff on. We shall see. But they did get a good running in Pride, and they did go rather well, and people did rather enjoy them. So that's a good sign. If you want to see what I look like at Pride as well, I had I had a lot. I went at it. So yeah, go on my Instagram. You can see some stuff there. Speaking of Instagram and such, if you want to find me on Instagram or any of the social media stuff, just search for Aubrey Blakeledge and you'll be able to find me. The Kickstarter is still up. If you search for Woodland Gothic, just search Woodland Gothic Kickstarter. If you want to get on that, you can do late pledges. All counts. And gig listings are on Bands in Town. Just search for Aubrey Blakeledge Comedy. Search for ticketsource.co.uk, Awkward Strawberry for tickets and such like that. Like I said, the next one is going to be rather tasty. It's featuring B-Sydes, Warren Island, and Tom Benjamin Wild. And that's in 2 weeks' time, on the 3rd of July. And of course, we've got the Fizzy Brain stream every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So yeah, I'm on Twitch, Blue Sky, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Just search for Aubrey Blakeledge. Bandcamp. Oh, that's going to have some stuff in it soon enough when I have the album, which I'm really excited. I've got to set up the Spotify, which is actually quite straightforward. And again, I'm going to have an album on Spotify. It'll be my name, and and every listen will be helpful on that. That'll be great. I'm not expecting it to ever overtake Sweetchunks, but it's going to be exciting seeing my name on Spotify and my own music and my weirdness there for you all to behold. YouTube as well. That's the other thing. I'm going to be creating music videos, which I'm really excited about, and I'm going to be like collecting some of my favorite music videos and recreating them badly. It's going to be my aim for the Aubrey Blakeledge videos. Okay, so, and the website aubreyblakeledge.com. Join me on Patreon. Many of you already had for just £3 a month. You get the demos for the album. To speak of that, also you get early release merch, music, other such bits and pieces. And if you're a subscriber over a certain amount of cash, like roughly the price of a CD or for the t-shirts, you will get them sent to you the moment I get them in stock. So you get, basically, it's like a subscription service, and it's really helpful and has dug me out of a hole this month, I'll be honest. So that money was very, very gratefully received, which is fabulous. So I think that's about everything. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. If you're going to hang around on the stream, we're going to hang for a little bit, because I'm already yawning all over the place, and I apologize for that. But I say I'll stick around and talk rubbish, so we're going to stay around and talk some rubbish. If you have a drink in your hand, do raise it up. And it is time to run the marvelous credits of the patrons, paid patrons. I've organised it into alphabetical order, and let's see if that makes life any easier. So if you have a drink in your hand, raise it up and put it in your face. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye. So my glorious paid patrons, Alan Fluker, Alison Pearson, Andrew Hamilton, and no, it's not easier. I'm too tired for this. Look at these lovely people. There's Kaylee, there's Kingsful, Mike, Murray, Puzzle, Rachel, Radish, Rich, Rosemary, Ruth, Samantha, Sarah, Sharon, Smoke, Toby, Wessex, Ziggy. And a big thank you to the lovely Patreon members who are for free and the mailing list people.